Hello and welcome to the Pestana Villasol 5-star resort here in the Algarve in Portugal. It's an absolutely beautiful place to come. And congratulations too on investing in the PlaneSWING golf training system. You know, our goal is your rapid and sustained improvement. And the object of this instructional DVD is to ensure that we take you through all the elements so you get the very best out of PlaneSWING. PlaneSWING is already used all over the world by teaching professionals, prominent tour players, and also amateurs of all levels. Now it's important that you keep in touch with us, whether it's through planeswing.com or also emailing to us images and video to onplane@planeswing.com in order that we can provide you with free swing analysis from our professional team. I hope you enjoy the rest of this instructional DVD. So let me take you through the key components of PlaneSWING and how and why PlaneSWING works as well as it does. You'll notice first of all that you're not hitting a ball with PlaneSWING. That's absolutely critical. I could design this so that you could hit a ball, but the fact of the matter is it wouldn't be as successful. I know that from experience. I absolutely believe that to be true. So it's very, very important that you practice the motion without all the pressures of ball flight and being able to hit the ball. All that will happen in the shot when you step out of PlaneSWING. So let's have a look at the components. We've got a multi-adjustable hoop, you can see here, and it's adjustable through this calibrated strut. Very simple. Remove the D-ring, up and down, replace the D-ring, and you can adjust it flatter, very simple terms for a shorter person, or more upright for a taller person. Now, how do you measure that? Very simple. We have here what we call a plane guide. It's ostensibly a bungee cord, but it goes from one side of the PlaneSWING to the other. And what it does, it's for setting the PlaneSWING to your ideal swing plane. And that will be roughly around about the sternum. Okay? It's not set in stone. People may think it's set in science, but it's actually not set in stone. The fact of the matter is you can set it a little bit flatter, you can set it a little bit more upright. Coaches vary. This is a teaching agnostic product. It really is extremely flexible. We have an area where we would like to see you set it, and I'll talk about that through the DVD. So a very important piece of equipment this is to get you on your ideal swing plane. Now what we also have is the stance alignment mat. The stance alignment mat has straight lines. There are no confusing curve markings here. This is about getting a square setup. So when you combine the straight lines on the mat together with the correct setting of the hoop, the use of the plane guide simply for setting up only, what you get is a square setup where you can begin to build your swing on your ideal swing plane. Now, what we also have is power sliders. This is the standard power slider, and this comes with every PlaneSWING. Weighs about 1.3 kilos, just over 2 pounds. What we have here is a long light power slider, and this is suitable for juniors, around about 4 feet 9 upwards, some ladies, and also some people with physical issues. It's round about a kilo in weight. But what's important about this, and it really is important to remember, that sometimes people think shorter people would use the shorter power slider. That's actually not the case. It's important to use the long light power slider for those juniors, otherwise they could drop it inside of the PlaneSWING circle. And finally, we have the short power slider, and the short power slider simulates the shorter clubs. So as the long one is driver through to 5-iron, this simulates 6-iron through to wedge, so that when you set it in a more upright plane, you can work on those shorter shots, pitch shots, and the various other elements of the short game. And again, I'll come on to that a little bit later. Even putting, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later on. And a vital ingredient in all of this is what we call the plane checker. And the plane checker is a very, very simple piece of kit. It simply fits in here into a hole which you'll find in the top of your power slider, and that's to ensure that when you're swinging in your ideal plane, that you can check whether or not at this point here, with a simple glance to the right, whether or not that plane checker is in line with the angle of the hoop that you've set for your ideal swing plane. So there's some key elements there. The weight of the power sliders is very important. I mentioned before, this is 1.3 kilo. This here, round about a kilo, possibly just slightly under. Very important for stretching and training the muscles. And the key success around PlaneSWING is the fact that the sliders create a lag, which a roller wouldn't be able to do for you, but a slider creates the lag, which ensures that you get a level of resistance. That level of resistance stretches and trains the muscles, and remember, you're training those muscles within your ideal swing plane. And that's the key to the success of using this piece of equipment. So when you look at the combination, the ideal setting for your swing plane, the power slider, the stance alignment mat, and the plane checker, they all combine to deliver for you your swing on your ideal plane. Now, no DVD would be complete without a little health and safety section. So there's a couple of things that I want to run through with you that I feel are really important. First of all, when you actually take down the PlaneSWING and you're putting it away for storage, I've done a separate video on this, but it's very important that you use two people. Okay? It's a two-person job, I believe. It's only 10 seconds, but it's a two-person job. So do bear that in mind. Secondly, when your PlaneSWING's in situ, always make sure that these stays here are safely secure on both sides. Now, when you're setting up PlaneSWING as well, and you've got the plane guide from one side to the other, always make sure that you keep a tight hold until you know that it's absolutely secured. What you don't want is for this thing to be pinging about. Okay, it's quite a strong piece of elastic. We also have the calibrated strut, so it's important here that when you're making any adjustment that you hold on to the top part of the strut here, okay, until such time that you've got this D-ring securely located and that it's once again refastened on the side here, as you can see. Okay? Simple stuff, but very important to get right, to be honest with you. Now, when you're swinging within PlaneSWING, a lot of people, in terms of their spatial awareness, it doesn't extend beyond the diameter of the PlaneSWING circle. Well, the power slider does, okay? That does extend beyond the circle. So you can see here that at this point here on the backswing, I'm a good sort of in the region of about 1.5 feet, half a yard outside, okay? Outside there, and then a similar scenario on this side. So it's important to ensure that nobody can walk from behind the PlaneSWING into the power slider, because as wonderful a piece of kit as this is, it will hurt if it hits somebody. So just be very, very careful on that. And finally, when you do set up within PlaneSWING, you'll see I'll talk about this a little bit later on, but always set the power slider just 10 centimeters outside the bottom of the hoop. And the reason for that is, if you dip slightly, you don't want to be hitting the ground, and if it's too far forward, you don't want to be dropping it on the inside. So start off 10 centimeters outside the bottom at address, and then as you build the swing, you'll see that it elongates and then comes back again inside here, and then you can get a nice shallowing if you wish coming down through, but you're safely past the hitting area and a nice extension through towards the target. Right, so just a brief recap on those health and safety points. Very important to ensure that when you're setting it up that there's two of you, and also when you're taking it down it's rolling away. Make sure that you hold the top of the calibrated strut when you're adjusting the plane angle. Obviously here you've got the plane guide, take care with that, and also the weight of the power slider. This thing hurts, so just make sure that there's nobody going to be walking in or around PlaneSWING when you're actually swinging. And you'll have great fun with it, and it's a fantastic piece of kit, but stay safe. So a question that I get asked quite a lot is what makes PlaneSWING different than other swing hoops? Well, I think first of all, it's multi-adjustable. Secondly, very importantly, you don't hit balls, and you don't hit balls for a very good reason. This is about stretching and training the golfing muscles and building a powerful and repeatable motion. It's not about worrying about ball flight or worrying about connection with the ball. All that will happen in the shot, I can absolutely assure you. We give you that guarantee. What we also have is a power slider, so you don't use a traditional golf club, and also you don't use a roller. We use a power slider, and the reason for that is, first of all, it's lighter, but secondly, what it does is it builds a resistance around the hoop, and with that resistance you're getting a stretching of the golfing muscles as you're coming through, and a far more dynamic position at impact. You can see here that at impact I've got the butt of the club aiming at my left hip. Often when I used to use, and I used to see the roller being used, you would get the butt of the club facing at the right hip in a slight flipping motion. So that in itself is pretty important. Also, we've dispensed with the fin. There's no fin at all here, and there's a good reason for that. One of the issues with the fin was that when people got to the top of the backswing, they would often come out of their spine angle to check whether or not they were on plane. That's no longer required. What we have is a very simple piece of kit. We call it the plane checker, and at this point here, when you get up to 10 o'clock in the golf swing, you simply glance to the right and you can see instantly whether or not the power slider is in line with the angle of the plane swing. Finally, we have straight lines on the alignment mat. That's very important. Curved lines extremely confusing. This is about a square setup within PlaneSWING, and we want to keep it as simple as possible. And it's for that reason that we say PlaneSWING, it's golf, plain and simple. Finally, we've got numbered decals. You can see here around the hoop, and the purpose for that is that you can actually run a range of drills. And when pros are working with students in here, they often want those students to get themselves to learn the movement, the core movement, from 7 o'clock through to 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock through to 4 o'clock. So it's important to know exactly where those points are within the hoop. And this is a fantastic tool, not just for the golf coach, but also for the drills that I'll go through with you later on. So a few changes significantly, but all very much improvements. So let's first of all take a look at the grip. When using PlaneSWING, it's very important to get maximum efficiency to have a neutral, what I consider to be a neutral grip. So, placing the grip through the roots of the fingers here, we want this left thumb, assuming a right-hander, to be nicely positioned just to the right of centre, and you can see there that it's also parallel with the shaft. Okay, so that's a good position. What you don't want to do is to get diagonally to the left, because you lose a degree of control and you can become a bit cupped at the top of the backswing. Neither do you want to be diagonally to the right, where you can become a bit bowed at the top of the backswing and through the actual swing. And you also don't want to be straight down the middle, because what you're likely to do is to compensate and to over-rotate going back to get in the position that you need to get into. So let's work on the grip going through the roots of the fingers, and then you can see here the thumb is just parallel to the right of centre there, nicely positioned, and it's now easy for me to build the right hand onto the grip so that this thumb sits neatly inside the pad of the right hand. Okay? Now I don't care, to be honest with you, whether you are baseball, interlock or Varden. Personally, I'm Varden. But Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus are interlock. So what do I know? Right? But the vast majority of golfers do have the Varden grip, which is an overlap at that point there. Okay? And I know that in the United States, a lot of people also have the baseball grip. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But what is important from a biomechanical standpoint is that you ensure that you have a good neutral position with the left hand, and that you build the right hand underneath so that the thumb rests in the pad. Okay? That is an extremely safe and biomechanically sound grip. Now what's very important in the golf swing, whether or not you're working with PlaneSWING or whether or not you're out on the golf course, is a good posture. a powerful posture, a dynamic posture, because you want to make sure that the health of your back is maintained at all times. So it's very important to ensure that you've got a strong core. Working within PlaneSWING will help you develop and build that core. Now you can see here, we set the power slider at just 4 inches outside the bottom. We set ourselves up, and you can see there at this point, I'm tipping now from the hip, okay? The hip joints are here below the waistline. They're not above. This ensures that you get that dynamic position and a straight spine at address. So you can see here now I'm set up. Notice too, very importantly, how my hands hang, okay? My hands are hanging perfectly naturally in front of me. There's no arching, they're not in too close, they're simply hanging naturally. I've tipped from the hip at address, let your hands join, okay? Very simple. You're now ready to go. So you can see here, exactly in the position there that my hands were when you just saw me. So now I'm going to build a swing from that position. And I'm building nice and gently, back and through. Very much a core and an upper body movement, okay? I'm getting width, but I'm not swaying outside of the width of my stance, okay? I'm building that width gradually, getting extension, blending in the wrist hinge, and you can see here now at the top of the backswing, I'm up here. All I need to do is just glance to the right. I can see the plane checker. I can see that it's in line with the angle of the plane swing that I set for myself earlier, and that I'm ready now to begin the transition, begin the downswing to attack the ball. But I'm in a good, powerful position because of a good posture. I heartily recommend that you see your PGA professional and make sure that your posture is dynamic and is going to give you the very best return on the golf course and also in your general health. So we've looked at grip and we've dealt with posture. Let's now look at alignment. And again, this is where PlaneSWING really does come into its own. And for this purpose, what I've done is I've reattached the plane guide. And the plane guide is often a bit of a tell-all really, because when you actually place it on a golfer who's experiencing PlaneSWING for the first time, it can immediately identify whether their shoulders are open or closed. So it's a good indicator for them. They actually see it visually and they actually feel it. So it tends to be a very quick convincer, for want of a better word. So here I am now, setting up. Again, this is set for me. I know my setting's 0. I'm holding it at about a quarter of the way down the power slider, and I'm set up. And what you'll also notice as well is that I'm set up. I've used, this is very much a visual thing as much as it is a physical thing. I've set up now square on the stance alignment mat. So again, very important, 10 centimeters, 4 inches outside the bottom there. You'll notice that the plane guide is bowing slightly across my chest. That is because we want the plane swing ideally to be going through the shoulders there, just below the shoulders, through the top of the arm, and you can see there. Now, what about my hips? Very important to get square hips. So now I've got square shoulders, I've got square stance, and my hips are square. Again, I'm in an excellent position now to commence the swing. I'm feeling powerful. My posture's good, okay? I'm not standing up too straight. I'm not crouching down too far. And then finally, you'll notice that I'm keeping my chin off my chest, okay? I've got to make room for this left shoulder, left arm, as I build the swing. One of the most common questions that we get asked is, how do I set PlaneSWING to my ideal swing plane? Well, it really is very simple. And to start with, it will probably be a little bit of trial and error, but there are plenty of images on the website, there are plenty of videos where you can see exactly where we recommend that it's set. But it's all around this point here, to be perfectly honest, and it varies slightly depending on coaches. Some people like people to swing a little bit flatter, some a little bit more upright, okay? This is very much a teaching agnostic tool, and it's very, very flexible. But what I'm going to talk about today is swinging it just sort of down a little bit below, almost at the first button of the polo shirt, okay? So around about here. Now, You can see here for this setting, I'm 6 foot, very long arms, and I've got it at -2. Now you can see there as I set up, with the power slider 4 inches or 10 centimetres outside the bottom, never extend beyond that, don't try not to come inside of that, and I'm set up now. And you can see that when I run the plane guide across, you can see here that this is far too flat for me. Okay? Hopefully you can understand that. So what I need to do is I need to set it more upright. So let's just go up one more. Okay? Very simple there. You can see here again, if I look at that, standing exactly the same place that I was earlier, I'm still not quite where I need to be. So you can see here that the plane checker is outside of the angle of the plane swing. Okay? So I'm going to go up one more. And I can demonstrate now, as I'm in this position, that again, as I build the swing, I'm at that point there where I'm beautifully positioned in line with the angle of the plane swing. You can see the plane check is beautifully in line. And if I demonstrate that with the plane guide, and I want the plane guide to run through my sternum, but to be bowed at address, because the point that we're actually looking to get to is this far inside the chest. That's why it's to bow slightly. So here I am now. Okay, you can see there that it's bowed, and you'll see images on the website as well where I demonstrate this. Hands are hanging naturally, power slider 10 centimetres outside the bottom of the hoop, and here I am now set and ready to go. I can now comfortably remove the plane guide and once again build the swing. And I'm set up, as you can see there, at the top of the backswing, in a good position now to attack the ball. Conversely, as you can see, I'm coming through, and once again I'm in line as I swing through, extend, release and hinge to plane. Okay, so here we are now with a short power slider. The short power slider simulates the shorter clubs, 6-iron through to wedge. As a consequence, there's going to be a requirement, therefore, for the plane swing to be set in a slightly more upright angle. You can see immediately, as I set the short power slider 4 inches outside the bottom, 10 centimetres, and I take up my grip at the top of the handle, that the plane swing is immediately too flat from where it was previously. So what we need to do is to raise it only marginally. I've moved now up to +1, and when I step back inside plane swing, you can see now that the plane swing is angled through my shoulders, through the top of my arm, and as I build the motion here, again making sure that my posture and grip are in good order, and I'm looking at extension, and I get myself up here now to 10 o'clock, you can see there that the plane checker is in line with the angle of the power slider. And once again, I'm in a good position now, well balanced, in order to be able to attack the ball. Conversely, if I then go down the handle, again even further, you can see I'm now simulating perhaps a pitch shot, or I'm simulating a wedge. Once again, I'm going to have to move the plane swing marginally forward to ensure that it's in my optimum swing plane. What I'd like to do now is just talk to you about the 3 key components of the human body that make up the golf swing. We've got wrist hinge, we've got forearm rotation, and we've got the rotation of the shoulders and the core. Now it's important to understand that those 3 movements are a blend, And this is something that was first brought to my attention way back in 1976 when I was an assistant professional with a chap called Jim Large, a tremendous coach, really good mentor of mine. And he really understood the biomechanics of the golf swing, way ahead of his time in reality. And what I liked was the way he explained it to me, and he explained it to me in very, very simple terms. So he would explain to me that the golf swing had 3 biomechanical hinges: 90-degree wrist hinge, 90-degree forearm rotation, and 90-degree shoulder turn. And that this, not perfectly, but was replicated to an extent on the follow-through, as you can see there. But what was important was ensuring that you understood the blend. And as you can see here, as you build the golf swing, the left hand and the left shoulder are very important in ensuring that we get a good one-piece motion with the core here working. And you can see we've already got some forearm rotation, both back and through the ball. It's at this point now, as we get that extension, that we begin to blend wrist hinge. So wrist hinge starts to enter be about 8 o'clock. Okay? So we're building that motion there. It's the left arm, remember, that's given us the width, not the right arm. Okay? The right arm staying into the body. And at this point now, we get wrist hinge. And you can see here, I'm hinged at 90 degrees, and once again, I'm in line with the angle of the plane swing. And from that point there, I'm looking to drive the plane checker down towards the ball. You can see here, plane checker's coming to my left hip, a nice lag as I'm coming through, which the slider gives you, a nice lag through to the shot, extend through the target line, natural rotation of the forearms, and I'm now coming through towards the target, and I now hinge up through, and I'm on plane, as you can see there. So it's that blend that's so important. If I were to over-rotate my forearms, or artificially rotate my forearms, you can see here, I can see that the plane checker's significantly outside of the angle of the plane swing. If I simply turn my shoulders and I get my arms strapped across my chest, you can see here I'm very much inside. So it's that blend of shoulder rotation, forearm, natural forearm rotation, and hinge that gets you to the position in order for you to be able to attack the ball. And the same coming through, if you give excessive forearm rotation, you can see here, you're over plane. Alternatively, what you can do, if you're a fader of the ball, a cut of the ball, a la some of the Trevinos of this world, did I say, is that you can hold out the hit. This is permissible. But generally what people will do is they will extend through to target, and at this point here, the forearm rotation will then be followed by the wrist hinge. So it's that blend that you've got to get right. So try as much as you can to do that, and any issues that you get at all, remember you can send in videos, you can send in images to us at onplane@planeswing.com, and we'll give you free analysis. So here we are now, we have the grip, and all's well with the world. My right hand is below my left hand. As a consequence, it's absolutely correct that my right shoulder should therefore be below my left shoulder. And what I'm also looking to ensure is that my right arm bends slightly towards the tummy and is inside of my left arm. If I get too strong with my right hand, watch what happens to my right arm. It rises, and as a consequence, my shoulder rises and my shoulders are now open. And I've got an issue on the backswing in that I'm likely to over-rotate my forearms in order to get back to the position that I want to be in to keep my right arm tucked into my body. So people will say that everything starts from address. If you get the grip and the address correct, you're really in the best possible shape to start the golf swing. So you've set up your plane swing, you're ready to go. You're happy with your posture, you're happy with your alignment, and you're happy with your grip. That's good news. Now then, you've made sure that it's set to your ideal swing plane. Once again, power slider, 4 inches outside the bottom here of the hoop. Take up your grip, square alignment, and you're set and ready to go. Now from here, what we're looking to do is to make sure that we work the core and we work the big muscles. This isn't about slapping the hands or the arms across the chest. What we're looking to do is to make sure that that left hand and that left shoulder work together to start to build the motion, and that's why we have these numbers here. Very important, so that you can see that you're working from 7 to 5, from 8 to 4, from 9 to 3, okay, as we build up the swing gradually. What we do not want to do is to take from the address position and go straight the way up to 10 o'clock, okay, that won't do you any good, and it means that people start leveraging and there's all sorts of things going on. So this is a slow, extended build-up. We want to stretch and train those golfing muscles. So here I am now, just beginning to build up, as we can see. 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock, keeping my eye on where the ball would be. Get that extension, get that moving. Notice that I'm getting the width, but the width is coming from the left arm. It's not coming from the right arm. Okay, if I extend with the right arm, you can see I'm outside of the hoop. So what we want to make sure is that this right arm remains tucked in nicely to the body. So here I'm getting a good piece of extension, and you can see immediately that I've already got some forearm rotation. And this is natural forearm rotation. I'm not deliberately rotating my forearms, okay? And what I've also beginning to get now is a nice little bit of wrist hinge. Okay, so you can feel that in your motion as you begin to turn those shoulders. So I'm now building up to 9, as you can see there, I'm building up to 3. And what I want you to feel as you're coming through the impact area is that that right palm is making its way towards the target, down the target line, okay? Give me some extension through there. Good, good extension. Now we're going to blend in the wrist hinge. Okay, there's the wrist hinge. And you can see here, get that left shoulder up to my throat, and I'm now nicely positioned at the top. I'm loaded, I'm ready to go, and I'm nicely in line with the angle of the plane swing. And from that position there, this is where the plane checker comes in. So from this position here, I now know that I want to be driving this plane checker down towards the ball. Okay, so I'm driving that down towards the ball, and you'll see here at impact, the plane checker's pointing towards my left hip. Okay, and I extend down the line here, I rotate naturally through the shot, and I'm now going to hinge through, and I'm going to finish on plane at the top of the backswing. So you can see there, this is very much a slow extended movement. What I'm not doing at any time is getting aggressive inside a plane swing. I'm building this slowly. If you get aggressive, your muscles tighten, and then they resist the change. Okay, so it's very important to make sure that it's slow, extended movements. This is how it works. You can see there, right? I'm not slapping my arms across my chest, and you can just see there how easy it is when you work your core, when you work your big muscles, okay? I can move quite comfortably a 1.3 kilo power slider. And I'm working here, this position here. Now I'm going to hinge, give me width, I'm up here at the top. Drive the plane checker down towards the target, okay? Look at that position there, okay? Work on that, extend through the target line, allow the right side to come through towards the target, okay? Hinge through, and that release, which I'll come on to a little bit later. But watch this section again and again. It's very important that it's a slow build. Very slow build will ensure that you stretch those muscles. So people often ask me, after I've been in plane swing, what does it do when I step out? Am I best hitting balls? Am I best just swinging a golf club? Well, obviously if you can hit balls, then that's an advantage. But if not, swinging the club's absolutely fine. I like to see people use plane swing in the evening and sleep on the movement, sleep on the motion. But one of the things I do want to get across very strongly is the pace with which you swing within plane swing. So here we are, the all-important 4 inches, 10 centimetres. Set up, good posture, and we're now going to build that motion. And again, I don't care, tour player, novice golfer, don't go to the top of the backswing straight away, build it up. Now once we've built it up now, and we're blending in the wrist hinge, we're here, we're down and through, we're at the top, you can now build several revolutions, okay? See, I'm keeping an eye on where the ball would be, okay? Good position at the top, down and through. You do not want to go any faster than that at all. Place the power slider safely here, take up the club, step out, immediately going to feel almost like a toothpick compared to the weight of the power slider, and then simply build that swing nice and gently, and you will feel a massive washover effect here as we step out. Okay, again, repeat that 5 or 6 times, step back in, repeat the process. You're now beginning to change the motor skill. So when people look at PlaneSWING, often they don't just see a golf training system, they see a fitness system, and that's because of their experience within it, experience that you may have had already, where you can feel that it's working the forearms, you can feel the core being worked, you can feel the glutes, okay? Very, very powerful piece of equipment. Well, shortly, I'm going to be bringing out a PlaneSWING golf fitness specific DVD, and as soon as I do, it'll be available on the website, and I'll make sure that I get communication out to you to ensure that you're one of the first people to have it. So you've already seen how PlaneSWING's used with regard to the full swing, whether it be driver through to 5-iron, and also for a 6, 7-iron. But you know, it's a very useful tool for chipping as well. And you can see here I've set it significantly more upright now. It's now at +3 for me. And one of the drills that I like most of all is really working on my chips sort of just off the green, maybe from 40, 50 yards out, that sort of thing. And I set myself up, black line, sort of towards the front of my stance, there. You can see there, okay, marginally open stance there, but I'm still square to target line. And what I do is it just ensures that for my chipping motion that I remember that I've still got to keep that motion going. I mustn't slap my arms across my chest and get too much on the inside, because we all know the sort of things that happen even at a chip level. You know, when you take it on the inside, similar to a full swing shot, you'll get a little bit lateral with the hips, you might come a little bit over the top with the shoulder, even for such a short shot. So one of the things that you need to work on, left hand, left shoulder, taking the club away nice and gently here, and as you're coming through, just imagine that you're also hitting the ball there with that right hip, okay? You're coming through towards the target. There's not a massive amount of forearm rotation as you're coming through the shot, but very, very important to still work power slider, arms, shoulders as one unit, nicely back, weight slightly on the inside of that left foot here, nicely back here, through with the right hip through towards target, through with the right hip towards target, okay? There, watch the ball, there, through towards target, right? A great drill to repeat and repeat and repeat. Remember, don't let those arms slap across your chest. The power of the PlaneSWING here helps you to keep width there, okay? Weight on the left side, through with your right hip, okay, through towards the target. Very important to accelerate through the ball. So often we see it. People decelerate, little fluff, okay? Very important. You practice this, when you step out, you can replicate it immediately. You can do it in your garden, it's only a small chip. But what you will find is that you'll begin to understand the importance of acceleration, and you can then begin to gauge the distances. But this is a great drill. It really stops those awful chip motions where people don't move the shoulders and they just let the arms go, and then all the trouble starts, okay? So once again, left hand, left shoulder, slightly open stance, square to target, back, through at the hip, okay? Release through at the hip. Practice that, you'll see your chipping improve immeasurably. Now I know that one of the golden rules is that you don't use a club on PlaneSWING, because you can scratch your club, you can damage that, you can also damage PlaneSWING. However, what I've done here is I've taped up a putter, and I believe that PlaneSWING really is an excellent practice tool for putting. So you can see here I've set it up pretty much as far as it can go, giving myself a good grip. You can see here the putter there moving up through the lifeline, back of the hand towards the hole, reverse overlap as you can see there, stepping up to the ball, nice posture, and from there along the well, back and through. Okay, so it's a very, very simple way to learn that nice putting stroke. You can accelerate through with confidence. You don't have to have a putting green available to you, but it certainly works. Great, so you've invested in PlaneSWING. Now it's important to take action. We've explained to you how and why it works. We've gone through all the health and safety elements, and you understand grip, alignment and posture. Add to that the fact that you now know how to use PlaneSWING, how to build a powerful and repeatable motion, and it's important that you re-watch this DVD to really get the maximum benefit. We've looked at the short game. You've even seen that the versatility of PlaneSWING means it can also be used to help your putting stroke. What I want you to do now is to take action and to give back to us images and video so that we can work with you to develop your golf swing and extend your golfing life. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to working with you. Well, I'm here again at the Pestana Villa Sol Golf Resort here in the Algarve in Portugal. Beautiful place to be. And I'm at the PlaneSWING Golf School with head professional Richard Hudson. Richard, you've had PlaneSWING for a while, you're using it with a lot of your students. How's it been?
It's an excellent piece of equipment. I mean, the key factors are obviously that it's teaching you the plane, and that is a major part of the swing, because without that it's very difficult to make the good contact with the ball. So what we do, we allow people to hit a few shots before they start, and then we bring them into the PlaneSWING environment where they can look at and see me demonstrate to them what it's going to do. So they understand the different angles, they understand the different points of the swing. And then using the sliders, and we've got light sliders which are fantastic for the ladies and for junior golf, and then we've got these sliders, the senior ones more for the men and stronger people. So then they can come in, we can teach them the grip, because they're like the genuine article, the genuine club. We can teach them the grip, and we can teach them setup. And I also use, when I teach, I use video. Right. So I can video their swing out there. I can stand in front of here and to get them to go through the routines, and I can video and then play it back. And one of the key factors that I notice when I'm videoing, that I use, which maybe other professionals could take on board, amateurs could take on board, is when I video it this way, this becomes a very important part, because this shows the head position at address, it shows the head position on the backswing and through impact. So that as I'm working the video, and then we can play it back on the iPad, show them that, they can see the changes. Right. Also, they can see how this develops width in their swing and movement, and we can go through the short game, we can go through the long game and the driving. So it works perfectly for me.
So you've got before and after video to show them?
Before and after. I will video them on the range. I'll then put them in here. We discuss in here. We don't rush it. We go at the speed that they want to go at, because obviously that's a key part that we work with, is that the client's speed is key. Right. They take it on board, and once they've got it on board and they're happy, then I'll let them do the work and I'll video it. And then we can split the screen, show them the before and show them the after.
So in terms of working with students with or without PlaneSWING, I mean, are the results quicker with PlaneSWING?
PlaneSWING definitely gets the feel over. It definitely gives them the feel of what they're trying to do much, much quicker. If you're trying to tell them where you want them to point the grip of the club, up and down, round, they lose track of that, because now they're looking at a golf ball and then they're suddenly thinking, where are my hands, what am I doing? In this situation here, it does it for them. And the other nice thing that is major is that the amateur golfer tends to cast from the top. They tend to throw that club at the ball. When they're throwing it at the ball, they come out of their plane. This, when you've got the slider coming down here, it's dragging. It's going this way, And from that point of view, it creates here the lag through the hands back onto the ball, so they can feel what a tall player would be doing.
Well,
and that's really important.
Just when you were doing that, I see a natural movement of the core coming through as well. In
the core, the fact that you're turning the ball, and it is very difficult because, you know, we're not all fitness fanatics, we're not all down the gym, and therefore you've got to rely on a movement that's going to help you to produce the shot you want to play. And this is exactly what this does. It creates the movement, it puts it in the mind, we can take them back out there and show them how it changes. We also use it on the short game very much because it helps to connect the short game, which is key as well. Because with no connection, you get a lot of hand action.
And that's using the shorter power slider here.
Shorter power slider.
Right.
Very, very good.
So as a consequence then, when they're set up for the shorter, you'd move the...
I'd move this up, more upright. They're understanding that your plane of the swing is dependent on the club you're using. It's not like every club must be upright, every club must be flat. It's very different.
Right, excellent. Well, that's fantastic, and well, I look forward to getting some of those videos as well.
Oh yeah.
Which will be good news.
Oh yeah. We'll get those through to you, and then you can put them on the site, and people can have a look. And then, obviously, if people are looking for a holiday destination where the sun shines, it couldn't be better.
Well,
come down here.
Well, one of the things we are going to do is we are going to look to invite groups. You know, we've got plenty of customers out there who have plane swings all over the world, and one of the things that we want to do is to get them to destinations like this, where they can come and combine 3 or 4 days of golf together with a good instruction program.
Yeah.
You know, and genuinely leave with not only a better game, but a far better understanding of the biomechanics of the swing and how the swing works. So that, and this is one thing I love about plane swing. When you're out there and you're on the course and things aren't going so well, you can very quickly switch your mind back to when you're inside plane swing. Yeah. And then, you know, make that change during. Whereas often people, if they try harder, they get worse. You know, whereas if you just step back for a second.
Well, I mean, we have the plane swing on display all the time, and we work with the basis that what we try to do is to get the player that's using it to come in and do their drills before they go out and play.
Right.
If they can do that, they can take it onto the golf course. It works because they take that memory to the first tee, and we all know the first tee isn't the greatest place in the world if you're not feeling 100%. It's stressful.
Yeah, and that and the numbers here, because I know you run some drills using these numbers.
I tell everybody that we teach that if they can hit 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock on a clock face, 6 being at where the ball is, they can hit 9, 6, 3, 3, 6, 9. If they can hit those marks, and I call them marks, that's the way I describe it. I want you to hit your mark, and they know straight away that that's it. They find it, and they get better quicker. And the quickest way to do it is in here.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Richard. I appreciate it.
It's been a real pleasure.
We look forward to seeing you hopefully in September with a group of guys.
Looking forward to it very much.
All the best.
Thanks.